Rebecca tells us that she fell in love with Temecula after arriving way back in 1988. That was 2 years before I got here.
Wow.
She came in time to vote for cityhood, and I'm glad that you chose the name you did. And to welcome the stream of people who increased the population then with only 12,000 people to over 100,000 now. Rebecca and her husband, Daryl, successfully advocated for the preservation and restoration of the Vale headquarters historic site. You probably pass that every day, Mark, often, I'm sure. It's now a historical centerpiece for families in the community. While preparing the lawsuit for saving Vale headquarters, Rebecca acquired a lot of information about the history of Temecula. And now she's one of the go-to people if you want to know something about Temecula. In February 2020, the Temecula Chamber of Commerce named Rebecca and Daryl Farnbach Citizens of the Year to honor their work in historic preservation. And she's authored a number of articles in local publications, including the High Country magazine. Is that still going, High Country magazine?
No.
That's what I thought. And the Riverside County Chronicles. Since 2005, she has collaborated with other local individuals to write 6 books. And you need to look them up. If you don't own any, you should. Rebecca is a founding member, past president, and current board member of the Temecula Valley Historical Society. And we are so grateful that you set aside time so early for us, Rebecca. Welcome.
Welcome, Rebecca. The floor is yours.
Well, thank you so much. I always enjoy meeting with your club, and Roger, special love to you. So
here he is.
We think about you, Roger, and are happy to have our paths cross again. I'd also like to introduce our current president of the Temecula Valley Historical Society, Shari Crall. And it's so nice to have her with us. We each bring something to a club. We each have our own set of talents and skills, and it's a better place with more people. I'm going to start a PowerPoint presentation that I've prepared for you along the themes of what does the Historical Society do, and also of a little bit of the past history of Temecula and how there was positive conflict resolution. So I'll start that now. Maybe.
Myra, you may, since we're practiced in this, you may have to go to your security and allow others to share screen.
1 second.
And if for some reason that's not possible, I can do this without the PowerPoint.
I can share. Okay. Let's see. Let's try it now. No?
Here we go.
Oh,
You're getting pretty good at that.
Almost.
Almost.
we
You're there.
got it.
Okay. So the title of what I'm talking about today is Preserving Our History with Diplomacy. And here you see our logo, our new logo for the Temecula Valley Historical Society. And that is taken from a pen and ink drawing that Daryl, my husband, did. And does anyone recognize the building? It's the Wolf Store, which is at Vale headquarters along the Southern Immigrant Trail, AKA the Butterfield Stagecoach Trail. So what you're seeing here is a building that was an early post office, general store, and it had hotel rooms on the side for stagecoach travelers. And it's still standing from 1866.
Thank you for that, you and your husband.
You're welcome. Our pleasure. So in the past, Temecula was a Wild West town. And there were conflicts that were solved with violence. For example, on Christmas Eve of 1907, there was a shooting in Old Town that left 2 men dead. It started with a racial slur and too much alcohol. The man who was insulted shot the constable and another man out of anger and frustration. this racially mixed Horace McGee was condemned to life in prison in San Quentin. This is an old picture of Old Town. And maybe you can see right here that I'm pointing to is the livery stable, and that's where the bank was eventually. So it's a whole different perspective. Here are the railroad tracks on the other side of the Temecula Creek, excuse me, the Murrieta Creek. And this is the old hotel. So those are the two buildings that you can see. And then notice the windmills that were used to pump water. There are 4 of them that I see in this picture. So anyway, that's looking eastward from the railroad tracks across the creek. Okay, let's get on.
Rebecca, is that hotel the one that is still standing?
It is actually the predecessor of it because that hotel burned in 1989. And this picture, so we know the picture was before 1989.
Oh, okay.
So yes, it's the one that's standing now is a wonderful replacement that was built later that year.
We had our Christmas
Okay.
party there a couple of years ago.
Yeah. Oh, wonderful. Wonderful.
Rebecca, did you mean 1989?
1889. Did I say it wrong? Thank you for catching that. I sure appreciate that. Okay, now that we have that straight, so I wanted to tell you how Horace McGee, the guy who shot the constable and another man and left them dead because of a racial slur, the redemption in his life that came because somebody believed in him and did the right thing. There was a rancher out in Garner Valley. Do you know Garner Valley out there kind of near Idlewild? And he was a man named Garner. He owned the valley. He never forgot a good deed that Horace had done for him and his family years before. When the Garner's son was stricken ill with a serious illness, there was a really bad rain and windstorm. But Horace, as a young man, took it on himself to go 50 miles to, I guess it was Riverside, to pick up medication and to consult with a doctor, and then rode horseback 50 miles back. So 100 miles in a raging storm, and it saved the gardener's son's life.
Wow.
So after Horace McGee was in San Quentin, rancher Gardner never forgot, and he appealed for receiving Horace on parole. And Horace was there on his ranch, on the Gardner Ranch, living a respectable life ever since. So I think that's a wonderful story of redemption, and it's somebody who believed in somebody else and gave them a second chance, even after a terrible thing happened. Another episode of criminal behavior fueled by poor choices, Miguel Diaz was a ranch hand for the Vail Company, and he decided that in order to get money for flying lessons, he wanted to learn how to be a pilot, he would rob the bank. So here's our bank that is now a restaurant, and it was a bank in 1930. So he decided to go in, rob the bank. The teller just happened to be his boss's daughter, but never mind that. He locked her and the bank president in the bank vault and took off with the money. Well, he ran to his getaway car and started heading out of town, but the bank president had wedged a screwdriver in the door of the vault. He got out, and next door, there was a guy who owned a car, and he was getting a shave in Ole Larson's barber chair. So with the lather still on his face, McSweeney took chase, and they caught McGill Diaz. Well, he also ended up in San Quentin. But I came across some correspondence between him and Mr. Chisholm, the bank president. And in one of the letters, McGill sent a lovely poem about nature and ended with God bless you. So we don't really know what happened to McGill. He probably spent his life in San Quentin, but something must have touched and softened his heart in order for him to write such touching poetry and to say God bless you to Mr. Chisholm, who he had locked into the vault. So I think that's another story of redemption. So those are our two little vignettes of the past and things that were resolved. Now I'm going to tell you about what the Historical Society does these days. So we have the most wonderful group of volunteers, as you with Rotary do. And because every volunteer, every person who's a member brings something special into the picture, I'm going to just give you an overview of some of the things we do. We watch over Vale headquarters, and here's our Vale headquarters stage and a musician, and people can just sit up there and play the guitar and sing and whatever to the crowds, even if they're not paid or engaged to do so. And we maintain a museum. This is our little Temecula History Museum. And look at all these children. So you see the school bus. Usually in May of each year, we provide the 3rd grade history curriculum for local history for these students in our school district. Some of them walk down if their school is close enough, and these are bused in. You see them in lines. Well, they're ready to start their morning. Our volunteers set up discovery stations, and one would be grinding of acorns between a matate and a mano. Another one would be learning how to wash clothes on a scrub board, put it through a manual wringer and hang it on a clothesline. Another station tells about the stagecoach history. They get to climb into our stagecoach. One of the other stations is a chuck wagon, and they go through what was a cattle drive like and so on. And then all these students go past Kohl's department store to Vale headquarters, and we have other stations set up there. So I'm going to tell you, I don't know why, I think I'm a little out of order. Okay, so I'm going to tell you about some of our successes and our failures. By the way, we have a lot more activities that I did not go into. So that's just an overview. Let me speak to some of the other successes or other activities we do. We educate our members and our community with local history. Each month we offer a local history presentation. We used to do it in person in the History Center, but during COVID, we are doing it virtually. And Shari has become a virtuoso as far as knowing how to coordinate the Zoom programs. We appreciate it. So we have about an hour speaker on different topics that are of interest. In March, our speaker is coming to us from the Camp Pendleton Historical Society, and the story will be about Sergeant Reckless, the horse, who was a highly honored commissioned officer in the Korean War. So that will be interesting. We present articles on history to the Valley News newspaper. We have a very active Facebook presence. Our Facebook group has wonderful discussions. We'll post something and it will trigger memories, and a lot of people will respond, which is terrific. And we also are socially active as far as advocating for preservation. For example, well, I'll get to that in a little bit. One other thing I'd like to tell you about, and you may be aware of this, is we have a troupe of actors called the Notable Men and Women of Temecula. What they do is they dress up in period clothing and they impersonate historical figures from Temecula's past. They do a terrific job. If you haven't had any of them come to present at your meetings, they can do so via Zoom, and you would enjoy it if you have not. I am just looking over my notes. Okay, I want to just tell you a little bit more about what we do in our community. We watch over historic buildings in town, and we make sure that historic buildings don't get torn down or forgotten. We protest to the city council and other agencies when historic properties are threatened. We've paid for repairs for historic graves in our Temecula cemetery, and we provide yard maintenance for the Wolf Tomb and actually pay the property taxes on the Wolf Tomb. We restore things, the stagecoach and the chuck wagon and so on, and many of the historic wagons at Vale headquarters have been lovingly restored by our members. We have representation at the Old Town Review Board, and we partner with historical property owners to find solutions to their problems with maintenance. We actually sometimes help them repair things in their yards. We provide college scholarships for students pursuing history-related fields. This year, we are so thankful that we're able to provide $8,000. You know, we're trying to fund our people who follow us. There will be days that my husband and I and Shari and her husband and many others will age out, and we will no longer be capable of providing leadership for the Historical Society. So we want to groom others so they can take our places. We work with students who need internships and community service hours. I want to tell you that we have a wonderful relationship with Pechanga, and they have actually provided some of the displays in our little Temecula History Center. And just last week, we did a filming of history because these third graders couldn't come on site for their history unit. So we filmed a virtual tour for them, and Myra Maciel of the Pechanga Cultural Development Office came and interviewed and told about how life was prior to contact with European type people. So my next section is how we have risen to challenges with success and disappointments. Here are two of our disappointments. I'm not going to say failures. I'm going to rephrase it as disappointments. The Hyatt School is on the left. The Hyatt School sat in what is now a vineyard for Dofo Winery. Mr. Dofo was attempting to make repairs and spiffy it up a little bit, and the county stepped in and said he didn't have a permit to do that. So he decided, I'll just dismantle it. And Daryl and I went to visit him, and we made phone calls on Thanksgiving Day that year to both the county and the city, and had response, and they were willing to waive the restrictions for him. But it was a little too late, and Mr. Dofo felt like he needed to go ahead and tear down the school. So this Hyatt School that was once the community center for everyone living in that area, it's where their children went to school, it was where they attended church services, it was where they had all their social events, is no more, but at least we have the photographs. On the right, you may recognize Butterfield Square. A couple of years ago, we wanted to save Butterfield Square when the new owner decided that he wanted to bulldoze it in order to erect a large hotel project that we objected to. Well, there was a little disagreement about how neat and tidy and how well this could be preserved, and also about the financial income that a large hotel could create for the city. And that was a cause that was a disappointment to us. And unfortunately, as you may know now, the funding didn't come through for the hotel. And so it's just a bare open lot. In kind of a reconciliation, we asked that if and when the hotel is built, if they would please give some type of commemoration to the Butterfield Square that Bob Morris had built and that stood on that corner for a while. So those make me sad, but those are our disappointments. More, we have successes. And as you see on the left, here's a bird's eye view of Vale headquarters. And that was taken on our opening day, which was in 2016. And you see the historic buildings. And then on the left is a new building designed to look like a mule barn that burned down in 1929. But what we're finding right now during COVID is it is an open park-like space that people come and enjoy with their families. The moms and dads can sit together at a picnic table, whatever, have a coffee, and the kids can run. And it's just a healthy, wholesome, happy area. Throughout this complex, we have placed plaques so you can give yourself a walking tour and know what each building represents. And I hope if you haven't been there that you will go there. And please patronize the people who have shops there, because that keeps everything afloat. The right is, on the right is the plaque for the Vail Dam. A couple of years ago, there was a movement to rename the dam to a local wine country gentleman who passed away. He was well worthy of the honor, but we needed to remind people that that would be taking away an honor that was given in 1949 to Malon Vale. So on our Facebook page, we started a campaign and we said, if anybody objects to this change of honor to be given to this more recent person, will you please start a letter writing campaign, an email campaign, make some phone calls. And it was so effective that by the time we got to the Water District building and to their board meeting, the renaming of the dam had already been taken off the agenda. So that was a success. And so the Vail Dam is still dedicated to Malon Vale. So have a few disappointments and a few successes. The key for us in all of our successes was to be reasonable, to be insistent, to be logical, to speak the facts, but to be reasonable and to help all parties save face. We didn't want anybody to lose. We wanted everybody to win. And so when we presented, and I'm going to say our case, we wanted to build on the positive and to not put stumbling blocks in the way of people who had good intentions that we felt were misdirected. It helps opposing parties to understand one another better. We were also reasonable with our disappointing situations, but we've had to learn to accept the results with grace and dignity and carry on. And here are our notable women of Temecula. I think that slide was supposed to be earlier in my program. Sorry about that. I'm going to try to tell you who each person is. This lady, Julie Gilbart, represents Jean Gardner, who is Earl Stanley Gardner's secretary of the Perry Mason series. This is Pam Grender. She is no longer doing this impersonation, but she does Helen Hunt Jackson, who wrote the book Ramona, as in the Ramona pageant in Hemet. And this is Elaine, and Elaine Esham. She does Edna, was she doing Edna Swanigan? Shari? No, she was doing Frida Knott, okay? Bonnie Martland, and she does a couple of characters, and one of them is Mary Jane Welty from the Temecula Hotel. This is Loretta Barnett. She impersonates her late grandmother-in-law, Isabel Barnett, for whom the school is named. This is Mindy Johnson, and she is telling the story of a Native woman who lived here and was an Apish descendant. And this is Lynn Coudet, and she is representing Ramona Wolf. Really fun. I hope you'll invite them to come entertain you and educate you sometime. Okay, this is about our maintenance and restoration. Here's the Wolf tomb. And as you can see, it's landscaped, and we restored the tomb to the tune of several thousands of dollars. It was all in disarray, and we hired a house mover to lift the vault and so on. And here's a commemorative plaque. If you want to go by it, the name of the street is Magui Court, M-A-G-U-E-Y, Magui Court. And you cannot get in the fence, but you can see what I'm showing you here. Here's our stagecoach. Actually, we own two, and this is one that was donated to us, and we actually have it stored in our history center, and this is the one that the children can climb into. Ooh. The historical properties that we watch over, we try to partner with the Temecula Hotel. Here you see it several years ago, and the Palomar Hotel. and see how different and dirty and everything it looked then, but it looks terrific now. And the next question is, where does our income come from? So like most organizations, we have membership dues, we have donations in gifts of money and grants. We've appealed for grants, and we have had an annual dinner fundraiser. But now we have, oh, and also my books, the royalties of the books that Loretta Barnett and I put together go to fund the Historical Society. So we at Vail headquarters, we have these two wonderful new income streams, and one is our antique store. So it's way at the back of the property. If you're familiar with Vail headquarters, you're going to go into the property through the archway. The first building on your right is the Wolf Store. The second one is the Cookhouse, where there are 4 different restaurants that you can go up to the counter and order from. The next one is Chef Flavor, the old foreman's house. And then tucked in the corner behind Chef Flavor is our antique store. And we have lovely things there and reasonable prices and nice people who work there. And if you come and buy things, you help us. And also if you have quality used items that you'd like to donate to us, we will receive them. We're open on Sunday afternoons and on Tuesday mornings during farmers market. The other little stream of income that we have is this train. Look at this simple little train. You cannot imagine all the joy it brings to children. I would say our most enthusiastic riders are from like 18 months old through 10 years old. They just love it. Actually, it's so fun because when the children come to the ticket window, often their parents are teaching them how to do financial transactions. And so the child is coached by the parent. I'd like to buy 2 tickets, please, you know, and then they hand us cash. And then I say, oh, so you're handing me $6. That's exactly the right amount. It's $3 per ticket. Or if they hand me 10, then I discuss with them the amount of money and the change that they should expect. So it's a wonderful experience for all of us. And believe it or not, just last Sunday at $3 a ticket, we made $170 on this little train just in one day last Sunday. So we're trying to be very COVID aware. Every time the train is emptied of passengers, all the seats are swabbed with disinfectant swabs, and each passenger as they board are given hand sanitizer. And of course, we're all masking and so on. Only family members are sitting in each car. So we do more trips around, but we keep people safer by not intermingling family groups. So the next question is, what can you do to support us? Join our organization. It's only $25 a year for a membership. Participate in our Facebook group. Shop at our antique store. Buy our books. Put in a good word for us when you can in the community. If you're discussing some of the historic things, let people know that there's an advocate for historic preservation. And here we are. Actually, I took the picture. That's why I'm not in that picture. And come visit us. Come visit our little Temecula History Museum on a Sunday afternoon. It's free. We're open from 12 to 5 and get excited about Temecula history. That's all I have. And if any of you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them. I'm going to take off my screen here.
Rebecca,
Yes.
I just want to mention, in case you don't know where the Vail headquarters are, it is on Temecula Parkway, just east of the Coles, just tucked in there in the shopping center.
Yes.
And Rebecca, I would like to share with you, I share with Shari, I'm also on the Temecula Valley Women's Club, and I belong to the historical committee, and we help you guys
Yes.
with the museum as well.
Actually, you're helping the Temecula Valley Museum. That's who you're partnering with. And that's in Old Town. And that's a worthy enterprise too. Appreciate that. And in the past, the Temecula Women's Club did a wonderful thing in the 1970s or early 80s. There was a task force that took on a challenge by the County Parks Commission. The county asked for a listing of all the historic properties in Temecula, and these women collated all the details of each property. They said, for example, the Palomar Hotel, who built it? When was it built? How has it been changed? What is the composition of the construction, and so on? And that's something that we still work from today. So hats off. That was a fantastic thing and a wonderful women's organization.
Yes, it sure is. We're open for questions. Does anybody have any questions for Rebecca? Go ahead, Marty.
I have a couple. One, didn't Daryl come to our club and as someone?
I think he came as Lewis Wolf one time, didn't he?
I think he did, yes.
Yes.
Yeah. And the other question is about the train. It's not something that's old, is it?
No,
No.
but it's fun because, there was a train in Temecula at one time. The
Mhm.
train ran in
Yeah.
Temecula from 1882 until the 1930s. And so we can tell that story. This little train is built on a lawnmower engine and it has the engine and 3 cars. So they're fairly lightweight. And we acquired it secondhand and had to pay like about $5,000 for it. It does require a lot of maintenance, but we have a group of men who oversee that maintenance. And we also have a second stagecoach and a 1940s vintage tractor that pulls it. And in a few weeks, we're hoping to get that stagecoach out to the Vail headquarters again and to start rides. Now that ride appeals more to the teenagers. So, anyone from like 11 through 99, all of us teenagers.
One of the reasons I was asking about the train is that Roger had told me about, he had given a ride to a man who is local that builds these trains all over Southern California.
Okay. We didn't
Remember
buy it
that,
from
Roger?
him. I'll have to compare notes with you and find out.
I will compare notes with you, but in the meantime, I want to mention that the Historical Society pointed out to me that the office of Molly Maid over on Jefferson, across the street from In-N-Out, is an old adobe residence.
Mhm.
Been cleaned up and remodeled and I'm sure repaired. And also I'm grateful to the Society for introducing me to Ann Miller,
Yes.
who wrote the wonderful book on the
Southern Immigrant Trail.
route of the trail through Riverside County.
Yes,
Wonderful, wonderful.
it is. And we do have her books and my books available at our Little Temecula History Center for purchase if anyone wants them. They're available online, all Ann's and mine, and also at Barnes & Noble. I don't think Ann's are at Barnes & Noble, but we can hook you up. And on our website, we have made them available. So we have a link on our website that takes you to Amazon to order the books.
And all that's at Vail headquarters over there on Highway 79, right?
Yes.
And our website, the easiest one, you can put Temecula Valley Historical Society.org, but you can also just do TemeculaHistory.org. And the website is packed. It is so well indexed, and you can just do a search on a name or a place, and it's packed with information. If you're looking for something specific, or if you're just wanting to wander around. I was walking in Old Town last week and seeing some of our plaques, and I could just go to the website and pull up our historical walking tour and tell my friend exactly where we were.
Well, if I went to go pick up Pat. If Pat doesn't have to be home anytime soon, her and I will be going to Vail to your
Okay,
your farmer's market.
yes, today at 9. And when I leave this call, I will be going to the antique store. So come say hi.
We will stop by. Are you okay with that, Pat? Yes, she said yes. So we will be
Awesome.
taking a ride out there. Anyone else have any questions for her? Well, I would like to thank you so much for taking your time today, Shari and Rebecca, and informing us with a lot of great history of Temecula. We will be glad to help out. Let us know. We will visit your website and keep in touch with Roger as well, how we are able as Rotarians to help you guys out. And thank you so much for your time.
You're welcome.
And thank you for being our speaker, our last speaker of the month.
Thank you.
And also, you guys are going to be part of our celebration. Here's a little cake that we made for our club.
Cute. Oh, it's cute.
So let me light up the candle, okay? And just happy anniversary to Rotary for 116 years. And thank you for having Rebecca and Shari and giving us a great history of Temecula. So here we go. All right, happy anniversary.
Woohoo!
More. Roger, make a wish.
Happy birthday, Rotary. Happy birthday, Rotary.
Happy anniversary, Rotary.
Happy birthday, Rotary.
Rotary. Thanks, Jimmy.
And many more.
Yes.
More.
Rebecca, I'll see you in a little while.
Okay, sounds great.
He's coming with us.
Well,
Different cars, though.
Yeah, different car.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
Everybody, thank you so much. Have a great week. And
We have an inspirational.
oh, and sorry. Oh my goodness. Yes, Pat. Wait, before that, hold on. And let me have 1 second. Roger, pick our next Tuesday's inspirational person that will be giving us their inspiration. So this is what we do. Who's the lucky one opening up a March? John G. I'll let him know. He's not here today. But Pat will be leading us or giving us her inspirational quote for today.
This is from
COVID
Nora
test.
Roberts. If you don't go after what you want, you'll never have it. If you don't ask, the answer is always no. If you don't step forward, you'll always be in the same place. But I like ask and you will receive.
That's right.
Good one.
Good.
Thank you very much, Pat. Thank you very much. Have a great week.
Tell her I
And
said
meeting adjourned.
hello.
1
Tell her I said hello
second.
the next time you talk to her.
She is